All right, we're good to go.
Do I need to open the public meeting?
No, it's just, it would be a continuance for it, so let me just make sure that ABMI is.
Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 1st, 2024 Bellingham zoning board meeting.
Excellent. Very well done. Yeah, very well done.
Welcome.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, what do we have on our agenda this evening?
So the continuation for the public hearing for tonight for Purple Paws, the applicant has requested a continuance to the September meeting, which is September 5th. Yeah, September 5th. That way they'll have a full voting board. So, I would recommend continuing to September 5th. Second.
All in favor, should we do a roll call vote or do you want to?
You don't have.
All in favor of continuing to the September 5th meeting, say aye. Aye. Okay.
So now we're into general business. So actually, Angela is here there's a Lakeview Estates bond reduction request, which I gave you, I think it's the Form J's that are in there. We're actually working towards a drainage solution for an issue, which I'll let Angela discuss. Thank you.
Yeah, so like Rob said, the request is for a bond reduction. I don't know if you've been through the development lately, everything is just about complete. All the punch list items that we put together with DPW and Rob and I think Hannah might have been part of that site walk too, a bunch of town departments. Put together a punch list, all those items are complete except for the as-built. We have been out locating some like water and sewer structures, sewer cleanouts, water gates, things like that, that we had located for the as-built plan. We're going back out to capture the last 3 lots utilities. We'll have all that on an as-built and get that over to I think Don DiMartino's been reviewing them, given his familiarity with this long and involved project. So really the bonds right now are not securing any further work. Although in the packet that I just gave you, we do have a flooding issue at parcel C, which is the open space parcel kind of in the center of like Candlelight and Northern Lights, that area. It's like 2¼ acres, I think. And the low side of that open space parcel was collecting and retaining quite a bit of water. It did infiltrate appropriately as far as time wise. So we thought that it was just, you know, a function of the wetlands and, you know, the rain gardens were taking on some of the water that they should, but as you know, everybody kind of noticed and the neighbors were complaining that it was a lot of water. So earlier this year, we went out and kind of looked around to investigate where all of this water might be coming from. And we found a pipe that was outletting behind, I think it's 5 and 7 Northern Lights Way on that side of the development. And it was clean water, it's groundwater. We cambered the line, traced it back to cross-country sewer line that goes from Jordan Ave back down to Candlelight. So we think what happened, I don't have any record that the ZBA approved this drain line as a field change or modification or otherwise. So I'm going to be transparent about that. I'm not defending the installation of this drain line. What we think happened is that when they were digging for that sewer line, they came upon some groundwater, installed a drain to collect that groundwater and moved it over to the open space parcel. Doesn't appear that it was ever approved. So the thing with the bonds is that they reference the approved subdivision plans. So everything that's shown on those plans is insured by the bonding company. What's not shown on those plans is not. However, I guess there would probably be some gray area here, but I've provided the costs for the two alternatives that we're looking at right now and will be presenting to the Conservation Commission. The first option, well, I'll start with the pipe option, which looks like this. The drain line would be, we think, the best solution to alleviate the flooding and actually taking the water. You know, there's an inlet in parcel C that will collect the water and take it out into Candlelight Lane, and then it eventually goes to Basin B, which is kind of in the open space between phase 1 and 2, not Basin C. So they've already done the drainage calcs. We'll work this out with the Conservation Commission if and when the time comes, but they are confident that the basin has the capacity to handle this excess water, which shouldn't be a problem. We will be coming back to you guys to approve it as a field change or a modification, whatever you see appropriate. The other option is that, however, this drain line option requires us to get an easement from either the owner of lot 53, which is shown on the plan, or Dale McKinnon at Garrier and Hellman did an alternative plan that shows has the drain line going through lot 55, which is 26 Candlelight. We've been in talks with both homeowners about their receptiveness to granting us an easement. We've offered to spruce up their landscaping or, you know, give them something in return for the easement. So far, lot 53 has not been receptive. Lot 55 is the gentleman who actually has been attending the Conservation Commission meetings. His name's Tom Wilson, and he brought this issue to our attention. So he is willing to work with us. We're willing to, you know, like I said, work with him on the easement if necessary. It's just we haven't secured it yet. We were still waiting for that plan for the drain line through lot 55. The other option would be this berm, earth material, obviously. That berm would contain the water within parcel C, and it would only spill over that berm and, you know, drain water into the rain gardens in like your heavy 100-year or more storms. Don't quote me on that, but the heavier rainstorms, they would still see some overflow, but not as bad as what they're experiencing now. So between these two options, we've put together bonding costs. Like I said, I don't know if the bonding company would even insure any of this work under the current bonds. So, you know, I'm not town council, but what I would recommend would be that the Conservation Commission require a surety or something with whatever it is that we go forward with. But as of right now, that work is not approved and it's not bonded. So basically what I'm asking you guys for tonight is, oh, hold on, I guess we can go through the costs here. For the pipe outlet, we have a total cost $63,700, just about. And that's using DOT rates, and it's a very generous estimate. The berm would be a little less, I think. Yeah, 40,000. So even if the bonding company were to cover that work, the current bond that we have now would be much more than sufficient to secure that work. So back in December, we met with a bunch of the department heads and Amy, and Jesse at DPW worked with Jim Sullivan at G&H and came up with an appropriate bond reduction at that time. We still had several punch list items. We still hadn't even done, excuse me, a final punch list walkthrough, which we've since done and completed all of those items. The bonds right now for phase one is well, it's not $630,000. I think it's less than that. But the, Jesse recommended reducing the bonds to 20% of their initial amounts. So that's why you see the $630,000 here for phase one. And then for phase two, the initial amount and the bond as it is today is $805,000. So I'm just asking for a reduction to that 20%, which is, like I said, more than enough to cover anything that could go wrong in the neighborhood between now and when the streets are accepted, which hopefully will be soon. I don't know what your deadline is for a street acceptance application. It might have already passed or for the fall town meeting.
I believe the warrant, it opens, I think it's August 19th and closes September 20th.
Okay,
In that
yeah,
range. Yeah, and everything that Angela just mentioned is correct. I think there is a final revision of the as-bills that were submitted sort of recently, which is still getting reviewed by Dawn and
Yeah.
Jesse. And so Jesse, our DPW director, I spoke to him earlier today just to kind of see his feeling, which what he wanted to do was also review this information again to make sure with the as-bills prior to any bond reduction being granted. But I think the purpose of this is really get the ball rolling, correct?
yeah,
So, and what I can do is I can talk to our town council as well, because I do, as I mentioned to Angela previously, before there's any bond reduction, what I would prefer is to see, at least get a definitive plan or course of action in place for
Mhm.
this drainage issue, because right now, nothing has officially been submitted with calculations. There's been the plan. We've talked to Dale
Yeah.
from Gurrier and Howman, so we are working with the engineer on this. There is a solution that's being rendered. Right now, as you mentioned, there's kind of trying to figure out where an outlet pipe would go, because there's really one.
yeah, and it all depends on who can give us an easement to
Exactly.
install that. And if nobody will give us an easement, then we'd have to go with the firm.
So there is flux in kind of what the solution is, and I would really like to kind of get a definitive submission for that.
Open the fabric today?
Yeah, yeah, are you here for the Purple Pause?
Oh, yeah.
That one actually got continued to September 5th.
Oh,
Okay.
it did.
It did.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
Where was I? So yeah, Jesse's has to look at this. The other thing too that I need to kind of figure out with town council is actually the course of action on how the official legal surety bond actually gets reduced. So, because I know that there's a few signatures that need to be done. There needs to be paperwork, there needs to be a legal trail, so that's the other thing. So I should have a call with legal counsel, I think early next week on a bunch of stuff, this included in that discussion. I'll stop talking.
Yeah, no, and you don't have to take my word for it, but I mean, really, it would just be the ZBA vote, and then we ask for like written confirmation from the town that, or, you know, from the board, the town planner, that the bond can be reduced to whatever amount it can be reduced to, and then we forward that to the bonding company and they issue new certificates. So, I was really hoping to get the bond knocked down a little bit tonight, maybe even like cut in half or something, like. It's just a lot of money sitting out there for really very little work. And work that will be, I'm sure, separately bonded. Both of these options will require an NOI. So the Conservation Commission hasn't lost any leverage, I guess, you know, over the applicant to get that work done.
Well, that was actually a discussion that I had with Dale, because one of the solutions for the pipe, when you were looking at one of the easements, was actually out of the jurisdictional area. So it wouldn't require a filing, and it would, as I explained to Dale, my standpoint is I would still want it peer reviewed,
Mhm.
but, there is, it
Yeah,
all depends on where the pipe goes. So like I said, that's why there's some flux here, and I would
Right.
really, really love to have a more definitive course of action in front of us before there.
so, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We did get a hard no from the owner of lot 53 on the easement. Literally slammed the door in one of our people's faces, so, can't say that I blame her based on the history of the development. I don't know what happened, but, that option would not have required an NOI, but having to move that drain outlet or inlet, I should say, over to behind lot 55 would. So we're in a position where we either need to go forward with this berm or an NOI for the other route.
Mhm. Which both will require a form of review, and that's why
Yes,
I'm hoping this does not snowball into anything more serious, but I know that the purpose of an outlet control structure, which I think would be good, is to divert the water into the drainage system.
Mhm.
And what I explained to Dale was the main concern with that is just making sure that there's adequate capacity.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
main concern. So not that it would be a huge review, but it's just of the affected piping system within the road and the basin itself. So, it's a significant amount of review, but nothing.
Yeah, and both, like I said, both of those applications would require stormwater peer review through the Conservation Commission. And like I said, bonded separately. Did have a bond on the wetland replication at parcel C, but that was released.
Gotcha.
So, but that, like I said, even that doesn't cover this unapproved drain line. So I mean, if there's anything that you guys can do for me tonight, like cut it in half, or, I mean, if you're not comfortable knocking it down to 20%, I think half would do. If we could meet somewhere in the middle, in the meantime, between now and when we file the NOI, just,
So the goal of that is to be able to cover the bond for this solution, whichever the solution is.
I'm sorry.
The point of reducing the bond is to use that amount just to cover,
Well,
On for
no,
this,
that
or-
even the
or just
reduced,
because it's not needed.
or the reduced amount wouldn't even cover this fix because it's not on any of the approved plans that the bond secures.
Okay.
So
So it's
the-
not secured.
Right, so the bonding company is only ensuring what's on the approved plans.
Do you have a question?
However, if we will need you guys to approve whatever solution we go forward with as a modification or a field change, which would then make it part of the approved plans and the current bond would cover it.
Okay.
But as of right now, nothing.
Got
So even cutting the bonds, like I said, down to 20% or cutting them in half would be more than sufficient, especially phase two is, we have no punch list items left there. We have no utility structures left to locate. It would just be, I guess the street acceptance process would be covered under the bond for phase two, but,
How about phase one?
phase one, same, I mean, other than this parcel C fix, we have no remaining field work, just, and the utility structures that we're locating aren't for, the subdivision as built. I think they're more for DPW purposes, for utility ties and things like that, because we're locating water shutoffs and sewer cleanouts. So in the event there's sewer blockage or, somebody's water service needs to be shut off, DPW will have records of exactly where those services are located. And like, we have only three more lots to go.
I have another question. Parcel C, is that, so phase one, and phase two, they apply it to both, applies parcel C?
Nope,
Which one would it?
parcel C is phase one.
Okay.
Only phase one.
I think Ray covered some, the two bonds. Neither of which would necessarily cover the repair work that would, and it's. The repair works lives in phase one.
Yes,
Jesse previously, months ago, or Don,
Jesse,
was comfortable with a 20%.
20%, yeah. Granted, that was before we found the issue of the pipe in parcel C, to be timing wise upfront.
Yeah, and I think Jesse and DPW, just because Dale has been chatting with me, has been a little bit out of the loop on that. I shouldn't say that because we had the discussion about the connection into the drainage system, but I guess they're not as up to speed with it as I am. So that was kind of where Jesse's concern was, just talking to him today and not really knowing what was involved, and I think that's why he and I were both a little bit concerned with any reduction right now. I think if we get our ducks in a row, I think that your reduction request, I think it is completely. I mean, if you're talking about, if not 20%, 50% reduction, I think that's reasonable. I would just ask that we table this so I can get my ducks in a row from the town side.
Could we table the phase one bond reduction? And maybe knock down the phase two bond reduction, because it really, all the work there is done. I think you've seen it for yourself.
I would prefer getting both done at the same time and getting the final okay from Jesse, and also just chatting with town council. I understand where you're coming from. I do. I get it. But that's just, I guess, me being overcautious per se. I would really urge to just get the sign off from DPW before proceeding with reduction. That's all. And I can chat with town council.
Would you consider conditioning it? By that?
I don't know if you can condition, yeah, I don't think you can
You can't.
condition a bond reduction. So it's kind of
Okay.
just do it or
It's either
don't.
yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be my feeling towards this, but, like I said, we can get the ball rolling. We're in a lot better shape than we were, was it a month ago, and
Yeah.
I walked the site,
Yeah.
we're like,
Yeah,
uh-oh,
I
what's
think it
going
was
on?
longer than a month ago, but yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely, so, that would be my feeling on this, but I think that we can come to a very simple agreement, I think. I just need to do a little bit of research,
Mhm.
so.
Jim, did you have any
Yeah, just,
questions?
so. I'm trying to figure out, cause you're kind of more interested in not doing anything until you have more sign off.
Right.
If it, like, if we did say we did reduce by 50%, would that even still be above what you see as extreme estimates?
I mean, right now, yeah, I don't know what would necessarily need to be covered for any of the improvements exactly, because like I said, what I really want is a review of the actual drainage system itself that it's getting tied into, to see if that has to get altered at all, which I'm hoping that does not snowball into anything, and I'm hoping that it's all adequate sizing. There doesn't need to be any type of modification to the basins at all. And that's where my question becomes, I know you make a very good point about, well, the bond is for what was approved,
Right.
but if what was approved is getting
I get
modified,
what you're saying.
that's where I'm a little concerned. And like I said, I really don't think it's going to snowball into something, but I'm just
But
concerned that it will.
even if modifications to the drainage system because of this extra stormwater were necessary, that would still be contained to just phase one.
Okay.
So, Angela's been part of this project for a while, and she's been the bearer, she's taken a lot of grief from us along the way. Some of it rightfully.
Justified?
But she's always been a good partner in trying to, this has been a challenging big project for us, for Bellingham, but she's been always helpful. But given that history of like. Problems popping up,
Mhm.
plus. We generally, if DPW director says, I'm good with it, we go with it, right? If he's saying, can we hold on? Generally, that's what we do, so. No reflection on you, I mean, if it was up to me, fine, but
Mhm.
that's just what we usually do,
I understand.
you know?
If we could get this ironed out by the September meeting?
I think we can, and I think what might be helpful too is that maybe myself, Jesse, you, and our town council can hop on a call.
Yeah.
And just talk it
Anytime.
out
Yeah.
too, which, now that things are in place as far as the drainage system, I would
Mhm.
love before September fifth
Well-
to have a plan or something.
Yes,
submitted.
I was just gonna say, I think we'll probably have an NOI filed before the September meeting. Fingers crossed.
Okay,
Right, I think in this instance, it's better to be cautious,
Mhm.
just because, an unapproved drainage pipe was found.
Right.
So I think if all of our experts are saying that we should pump the brakes, it's probably the best course of action.
yeah, and like I know, like you said, it's a lot of money on the table, but let's, September fifth, we'll reconvene and we can figure this out.
That's fine, and we'll do some offline work, in the meantime, but I always, appreciate you guys have always been, very fair and reasonable, especially. Well, no, but I mean, given the position that you've been put in, over and over and over and over through the years, you guys have been nice working with us and, easy to work with, so. I can wait till September and come back to see you guys.
Okay, Rob, do we need to do anything?
No, this is general business, so it
Okay.
doesn't, but we will put you for the September fifth agenda and I'll be in touch.
Okay.
So, all right.
And I'll be back.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the bylaw committee appointment. You wanna, read everyone into what this is all about?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it at the last meeting, but basically the select board voted to create a zoning bylaw review committee to start really reviewing, well, our zoning bylaws. So just kind of going over the nitty gritty. The idea was to get a member from each land use board, since we are the ones that, I shouldn't say we, I'm no longer one of you, I'm now in town hall, but the land use boards, planning, conservation and zoning, I mean, you folks have to deal with the bylaws on a regular basis, and I'm sure that with all of your experience, you've probably noticed certain items that could be changed, could be tweaked, added, deleted, what have you. So the purpose was to have one member from each of those boards, ZBA, Concom, and Planning on this board. There's also a select board member and then also a citizen member. Currently, the select board member has been appointed. Tonight, hopefully, there's a ZBA member. Next Thursday will be planning board, and then the Wednesday after that will be conservation. So, so anyway, I don't know if anyone's interested. I know one of the questions I received from another board was what exactly is the frequency? What exactly is what is expected of the members? And what I envision is this is probably going to be a very long process. So I don't know what the best course of action is as far as, because this could be in place for 5 years per se. And the intent is for each town meeting, because we don't want to just overhaul all of our zoning bylaws at once, go into town meeting and say, hey, everybody, we've changed everything. Let's go on for 2 hours at town meeting to explain all these changes and then vote to, approve or deny. I think the best thing to do is for each town meeting, make kind of a work list, maybe do 3 zone changes at once, and they can be minimal. Maybe you do one big one for a town meeting and, you know, that way after a few years, I think you'll be in better shape. And I envision that we'll probably be meeting once a month would be my guess.
Is there a concern that, the subcommittee could outlast some members of the different boards? And how would that work itself out?
Well, that's where I think that, I don't know how that would work from like an appointment standpoint. It might be maybe you're appointed for 2 years and then you have to get reappointed. Right now, the subcommittee was formed and there was just basically the select board said, let's form it, we'll get the
Yeah.
members and we'll move forward. It might make sense to, you know, disband it after a year and then reappoint and kind of get like if people want to stay on it, great. If not, get new people and, like just keep chopping away at the list would be how I envision this. And as I mentioned to planning and conservation, you know, there's one member that's on the voting board, but I hope everyone gets involved because I mean, it is a big deal. We all deal with it on a regular basis. You see the frustration from residents in a lot of cases and I think that there's a lot of room for improvement and I don't know when the last time there's been a review of the zoning bylaws. Brian, do you remember? Because you've been around for, I don't know how long you've been on ZBA or planning, but
There's been various efforts along the way.
gotcha. I know that there's been some like a zone change here and there, but I don't know, since I've been around, I don't recall there being an actual like review committee besides the charter and overall bylaws. So I'm excited for this. This is, it's a big task, but you know, I think it needs to be done and you know, we can pay a consultant excessive amounts of money to do it, or we can do it and you know, be here to assist and drive the bus and help in any way. And I think it makes sense for town residents to be the ones making these decisions anyway. So anyway, that's what I had in mind. I don't know if anybody's interested or what, but anybody, any takers? You have to work with me, so. Yeah, Brian's out of the question.
Yes.
No, I'm gonna leave it open to see if anyone else wants to. I know someone talked to me, whatever meeting that was, the select board meeting.
That's right.
I'm on a lot of things at the moment, so, you know,
You
happy
are.
to pass the torch to someone else if anyone else is interested, but I'm happy to do it as well if it's just once a month and some things should be winding down by the fall anyway.
Correct.
My schedule, so.
I'm happy for you to do it. You wanna do it?
I feel like you're in the know and
Sure,
on a lot of events happening.
okay.
Yeah. Just reading this was too much for me.
Okay,
Find 55.
Oh, you know what else we
55
could-
on here.
We can nominate Brian, right? He has no idea.
Oh.
no, yeah, happy to do it, you know, I think. Glutton for punishment.
I think this is gonna be this is a big one, so. you
A
know,
long time
I-
coming, very
yeah.
important, so, yeah.
And like I said, I urge everybody to, you know, if you can't make every meeting, no big deal, but even if you have ideas, send just an email, send it in, we'll talk about it at the meeting, anything, any comments, any input would be just awesome, so,
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in sharing input.
good.
I think that drive-through idea that you have, that we don't have anything for, if that could proceed on a separate course maybe, so that can be there in case we get something that has a drive-through or not.
Yeah, that's already drafted, so, it just kind of died because of I don't know if ZBA, other members are aware, I think that was, yeah, I was the associate member on the planning board when I drafted some language for just drive-throughs, because in our zoning bylaws, we have no regulations at all for drive-throughs, which is kind of unheard of. I mean, most towns have requirements for queuing and bypass lanes, all that stuff. So we drafted that. I think the reason why it ended up not going anywhere was because that was also the same time that we were faced with the Hartford Ave rezoning, where there was a potential gas station with a drive-through, and we didn't want to confuse people with a bylaw change that, the planning board was endorsing and get it mixed up with a very, very contentious, zone change, so. But yeah, that can be done.
Yeah, if that's part of this group that you're talking about, or the planning board sponsors it, just to expedite it so that.
Yeah.
That would be good.
We can actually put that for the September planning board meeting, I think, because the warrant, I think I said September 20th is when the warrant closes, so. Yeah, anyway, we're getting off on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're getting off topic here, sorry, but,
Do we need to vote or anything?
yeah, I would just make a motion and vote on it, just so it's officially on the record in our minutes that you were appointed.
Okay, I'll make a motion to be appointed to the
So-
town's committee.
Yeah, so you can entertain a motion.
Don't entertain it,
I'm entertaining it.
so moved.
Second. It's unbecoming to
Yeah.
move to a point.
Listen, this was my plan all along.
So the motion was made by
Okay.
Ray and
Seconded
by Brian.
So everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye,
Aye. All those opposed? No.
you're none.
Excellent. All right. Congrats, Liz, another subcommittee.
Congratulations.
I think I'm on
I'm
five now.
another night
Impressive.
gone. Yeah,
It
so
can't be Thursdays, we're too busy.
that's true. Yeah, Thursdays are maxed out.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then the one last thing is just the approval
Minutes.
minutes for July 11th. Which I don't know if you had a chance to review.
I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 11th.
Second.
We have first and second, everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Just technically speaking, point of order is that you should ask for a discussion.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
got it.
Oftentimes we discuss things, then we make a meeting.
Right.
True.
Do you want to discuss anything else? Okay. Is that all we got?
That is all we have.
All right. Discussion is over. Can I entertain a motion to close the meeting? Close the meeting,
Motion to adjourn. The-
motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion.
I object and abstain all at once.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I don't really want to close the meeting. I think we have more to.
No,
Although I will say that I think on a motion to close the meeting, I could be wrong. There is no discussion.
Okay, good to know.
it's because I said it.
That
That's
makes-
why.
that makes-
Yeah.
That
I'm
makes
very-
sense that there's no discussion on that one.
I don't know why I think that, but I think that's true.
Well, we can
I
look it
believe
up.
it.
Well, I'll look
Makes
at
sense.
Brian.
So everyone in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye, nay.
Brian voted nay.
All right.
I still think it passes.
It
Majority.
does. Yeah,
We got majority, great.
Okay,
Brian,
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
okay, never mind. You're not gonna say,
Change my vote to aye.
you're not gonna say goodnight to Bellingham?
Oh, yeah, good night, Tom.
There you go.
I don't know.